Hello guys, welcome to my channel LearnTech. This is Sandeep Kohl here. Hope you all are doing good. So today's topic which I am going to take is on again on CMDB, and the thing which we will see today is reconciliation process. So we will see today what is reconciliation process, why it is needed in CMDB. So people who are aware about it, they know that the reconciliation process reconciles the data from different sources, and then puts it in a golden data set. So this is what we will see now in the reconciliation process. There are basically three things which are identification, merging, and purging. So identification is a process of identifying a CIs. So when the data is imported from different sources, so reconciliation process will identify it. So that means it will generate a reconciliation ID. And then we have merging. Merging means we will merge data from different sources, and only the relevant information will go to the BMC asset or the golden data set. We will see that. And the purging finally is a process of deleting the data on the staging data set. So now if you see the reconciliation process on a whole, it starts from, it looks, or it will be something like this. So where you will have this data source 1 and 2, where from I am importing the data into the CMDB. This is what we have seen yesterday. We did the through Excel or through some other manual means or some automated means, we are importing the data into the CMDB. So these are two different sources of data. Then the data comes in CMDB, and then what we do? We do the normalization. So the normalization process we have already seen. So then once the data is normalized, then it goes for the reconciliation. So the reconciliation process here, what it does, it identifies the data, it merges the data, and it purges the data. So this is we will see in the today's video. Now moving on to the next part here, you can see here this is overall an reconciliation job. So it will do the identification in of a data. So initially the data will be placed in source data sets and staging data sets. Then there will be identification rules, or we will have a rule set which will have a number of rules to identify the data. Once this is done, then the data is moved on to the production data set. Now here we have this process of merging also. So merging basically is a process where when the data is identified, for example, a data a CI is identified in multiple sources. So what we do then, we merge all these similar CIs into one CI in a golden data set. So for example, there is a laptop identified for John in 2-3 data sources. Then what we do when we do the reconciliation process, to avoid taking the duplicate data to golden data set, we do this reconciliation process which will do identification, merging. And in merging, what it does, it will basically identify duplicates, and then it will only allow the relevant data or only one instance of that particular CI to be moved to golden data set or BMC asset data set. Now there is a we have this precedence rules which we define. So precedence basically is the priority, or the, you can say, when you do the identification of the CIs, we give a precedence to the data set. So for example, we have data from 3 data sets. So this particular data set, we are more confident that the data is correct. This one we are less confident, and then this one is like we don't know. Then we give the precedence on the data sets, that if you found 3 instances of data on these 3 data sets, then give precedence to attributes on this data. So if any attribute has a value in all the three data sets for a particular CI, then we will give the preference to the first data set. So this is called basically a precedence. Then we have qualification sets. Here you can see qualification means based on what you will run the reconciliation. That we will see in the live example on the system also.
Yes.
So this is a simple sample of reconciliation process. You will have a source data here. You can see computer 1. This is a source data set where it is defined as a computer 1. Then the you have custom cost of this. This is one of the other attributes. These two are the attributes. Then reconciliation, it will see current by default when you import the data, it will be 0. We will see this in the actual system. Then we do the run the reconciliation. Identification rules are run. Then what it does, it moves the data to the target data set, which is the golden data set, and then this reconciliation ID is generated. So you can see this will be a key generated for reconciliation ID field. So this is we will see in the exact in the actual scenario how it looks like. Here also you can see there is an same scenario where I have a data from ADDM data set, BBC data set, legacy data set, three different sources from which I am getting the same CI. Then the reconciliation process is executed. Here you will see that the precedence set has been defined. So the data set, ADDM data set, has a more precedence because the number is higher, 600. Then I have BBCA. This has 100 as a precedence, and then legacy custom cost is 600 as precedence. So these two data sets have almost same precedence. So this is basically the priority or the definition of precedence set, in which we will define that what will be the preference for us, which data set we want to prefer more than the other data set. So here, based on this preference or precedence, the data is moved to the production data set, and here you can see the serial number which it has taken is 12x. I think this is from the ADDM data set. It has not taken this serial number because this particular data set has less precedence. It has 100 precedence, and the other one ADDM has 600 precedence. So this is what actually actually happens in the actual system. Based on that precedence, the data is reconciled. So we will see this in the actual system. Now let's go back to the CMDB and see this, how it basically is done in the new UI. Okay. So we have a basic understanding of reconciliation process. Now we will see in actual scenario how it is done, how it is achieved in BMC CMDB. So now for the reconciliation process, I need to go here in the reconciliation, manage reconciliation. So it will open up the console or portal for reconciliation. So here you will have multiple reconciliations currently being executed. Okay, and from here itself you can create a reconciliation job. But before we define any reconciliation job, we need to have the CIs which needs to be reconciled. So what we can do, I can create 2-3 CIs, and how we will do it basically is we will create 2-3 CIs in two different data sets, and then we keep the CIs identical, and then we will see how the reconciliation process works. Okay, so let me do that. So let me create a CI. So I have two data sets here. One is Excel data. So we'll create CIs in computer system. You can choose any. It works similar for other CIs also. So let me create one. Then let me create second CI. So what I will show you here is that I will create multiple CIs in two different data sets. So I have two CIs in Excel data set. Now what I will do, I will create two CIs in one other data set which I have, which is this Excel data set 23. I will create two CIs. Okay. I will create another CI here. So the process for reconciliation is same for both manual as well as imported data. So let me go here in the computer system. Okay, now I have created around 4 CIs, 2 CIs in one data set and two in another data set. Okay, so let me show you first what exactly we have. Okay, so this is my computer system class. I will say, let's see first of all the Excel data set. Let me search. So I have more CIs, so I had created them before also. So now you can see there will be okay, there will be two data sets where will not have this reconciliation ID. Okay, sorry, I have a job already running here, so it is like directly reconciling it. So let me first of all stop that job. Okay, so I had created a job here for reconciliation. So this is currently running. I think this is reconciling it. Let me delete this job. Okay, now I don't have anything here. So let me do one more thing. Let me create okay, now let's say let us create 4 CIs first to understand the reconciliation process. Let's see, we will create two CIs in one data set and we'll create two CIs in another data set, and then I will explain you how this reconciliation process works basically. Okay, so let me go here. So this is one data set, one CI, sorry. Then I'll create another CI, same data set I will use. Okay, computer. So here we are using the computer system class, but it works similarly for other classes as well. And the process for both manual and automated is same. There is no difference. Like if I have imported data in a staging data set from some automated source, the process is similar. Here I'm just creating CIs for the example so that I can showcase you. Okay, now this is computer system. So what we will do here now, we will create 4 CIs, one in one data set and two in one data set and two in another data set. Then we will keep 2 CIs similar in both data sets. Then we will see how the precedence works for that. Okay, this is what I am going to explain you. So let me create a data set here. So let me go to computer system. Okay, now I have 4 CIs created. So let's go and see them. Already created here. Okay, now we can see I have two new CIs where reconciliation ID is currently 0. That means it is not yet reconciled. Okay, and now what I will do for both of them, I will let me select both of them, modify, I'll categorize them. Okay, so let me define the category for this. Okay, so this is it. So this is the CIs in Excel dataset. Now what I will do, I will go to the other dataset where I created two more CIs. So here also you can see the reconciliation ID is blank. So what we will do, we'll modify both of them and we will say modify all. Then I will define the category. We'll use the same category just to keep it quite simple and so that you will understand it. Okay, let me keep it HP, save it. Okay, now let us do one thing. For example, this CI, I'll copy the name. Okay, this one, let me duplicate this. And here I will perform a new search for Excel 23. Now here if I go to the bottom, the last CI. So this one and the one in the, I'll keep them same. Okay, so let me save this. Now if you can see this CI I have in both datasets. Okay, so it is in Excel dataset 2023 and no sorry, just a minute, taken it. I need to change this to okay, I will change this here. Okay, now what I will have, go here, I will search. So I have three data sets. Let me delete this one. Okay, okay, now this CI is in two data sets. One is Excel dataset, the another one is Excel dataset 23. Now let's see how reconciliation will work on this. Okay, now let me go back to CMDB. So let's go to reconciliation process. Okay, so let me create a new reconciliation job. So here you will give a name to the reconciliation job, recon job manual. It's just any name you can give. Okay, then you have these options here. Process normalized CIs only. So in this case it will only process the CIs which are normalized, but we will not select this option. But it is if you want to only process reconcile normalized CIs, then you can select this option. Delete files on exit, it will delete these files. Then use standard rules for data set. So you can use custom rules also for the data set, like you can define certain rules based on which you will select the CIs in the data set, but we will use the standard rules. Then disable progress bar, this is just the UI part. Then retain all job in the history, this is we will keep, and then the job will be continuous. Now in the reconciliation process, if you go here in the add activity, there are three things: identity, merge and purge. So what we will do, we will use identity and merge. Purge is again a process where it will mark these CIs as deleted. That means it will do a soft delete of the CIs which are processed, which are moved or which are moved to the production golden data set. So let's see these two processes. Identity, so identity, if I select here, Now I have to define the namespace. I want to use all the CIs where to a specific namespace or all the CIs. I will select all. Status continuous on error. This is fine. So it will continue if there is any error. Now I need to define the data sets which will participate in this reconciliation process. So I will select this data set and this data set. Okay, so these two data sets will participate. Now generate IDs. This is the, if I select this, it will generate the reconciliation ID for the CIs. If I do not select this, it will not generate. Then exclude and include subclasses you have to define here. Now the qualification part. If I, by default it says use all classes and instance, so it will go and do reconciliation for all classes. So if I want to define a particular class, then what you need to do, you need to select a qualification rule set. So here if you see, I have defined a qualification rule set here, so where it will say only CIs where class ID is BMC computer system. So how you define this? Sorry. So how you define this? You can go here. Let's see first. Configuration, reconciliation rule, and then qualification rules. Here I can define I can select add a new rule set, then add a qualification set. Add a rule set, it will add a value here. So you can see I have defined here, and then in this I have defined this qualification. So you can click on the link and it will give you an option, either you can manually edit it here or you can select the attributes from here. Okay, and then define your qualification, and you can give a name to your qualification set, like I have given the name called computer system rule. Okay, now let me go back to the reconciliation process. So we have to again start from scratch. So I will give it a name as recon manual, continuous, add activity, identify. So in the identify I need to select the data set again. So I will select these two data sets. Okay, then this is, you can see the production data set is BMC asset by default. So whenever the data will be reconciled, it will be moved to the production data set. Then I will say generate IDs, yes. Use all classes, no. I want to define a qualification set so that it will only check computer system CIs. So I'll select this here, and then I will say okay. Okay, and then I will, okay, now this activity, identity activity is added. You can give a name here also for the identity activity. I will not change it, but you can define your own name. Then I can define a merge activity. So in the merge activity, again there are options similar to what we have in identity. We need to select the data sets. So these two data sets we need to merge. Qualification, I can define qualification rule set. Okay, and then you can see here there is a precedence. So precedence, which we discussed in the PPT, that I can define a precedence where I can define that Excel dataset has more precedence than Excel dataset 2023, or vice versa. So this is what I can define in the precedence. But by default there is also a default precedence. You can use it. If I click here, let's see, I think it will open up the default precedence. So this is the default precedence which you can use if you do not want to define any precedence. Okay, so it has already defined a precedence. So precedence is based on the values, attributes. It gives a weightage to attributes and then data sets, and then based on that it will do the reconciliation. So we will not do any additional precedence definition, but you can define it from here. Configuration, reconciliation, and then precedence, exceptions, or you can define it from the these core configurations. So the precedence group you can define there, and then you can, once you define it there, it will be available here. You can use it. Okay, now merge order by class in separate transaction, related CIs in one transaction. The related CIs in separate. So this is again an option. How do you want to define the merging process? Okay, so by class in separate transaction, so it will be per class, then related CIs in then one. If there are related CIs, it will define them in one transaction, and related CIs in separate transaction. So these are all different options you can select. Now let me go and I can define the purge activity also, but it is it's not needed. But let's see if it is. Similarly, we can define the purge activity as Excel datasets. Then use all classes. No, we'll use the qualification computer system. So purge instances identified and unidentified. Identified. So it will. This option basically defines you want to purge only instances which are identified. That means whose reconciliation ID is already generated. So it will delete the data set, staging data set. And if there is anything which is unidentified also in the staging data set, it will define. It will also delete that, or it will do a soft delete for that. But you can have another option: only identified and unidentified CIs you want to delete. Verify soft delete in the target dataset. So it will verify the soft delete in the target set, that this soft delete which it will do, it will change the status to delete it. Before that, it will verify it in the dataset BMC asset. So we don't want this. Okay, so let me save this. So you can see here we have got this reconciliation job created. Now let me open this. So before we run it, we will just make one change. So in the purge activity, we'll only say delete only unidentified CIs. Okay, this is the simple change we'll make. So we have got this reconciliation job here now. Let me open this. Okay, now what I can do from here, I can directly start the reconciliation process. So let me start it. So you'll get a message, job has started successfully. And then you can see here, we will see the status here for the job. Or we can go back here in the reconciliation process. There also you'll be able to see. So we had 5 CIs which were identified. Is in progress, but let's see what has happened to the CIs. Okay, so these were the 2 CIs which we had in different data sets. Let me refresh this. So you can see it has created one CI in BMC asset. Okay, so here there is a difference it has found, so that is why it has created 2 different CIs. But ideally when you have everything is matching, then it will define only one CI into the system. So maybe in this there is something which has, I think the short description, we had not changed it, so that's the reason it has. So you can see here the description, short description was different. If that was also same, then it would have changed it. It would have taken it, because we had not defined any precedence for the, we used the default precedence. So in that case it created 2 CIs, otherwise it will normally create a 1 CI here. And then you can see here the reconciliation ID has been generated for this, and it has created it has moved this data set to the BMC asset data set. And here if I see here what is it has defined, if you can see here, so normalized status for this is currently not normalized. We did not run any normalization on this, so that is why it is not normalized. Okay, but it has created a it has created a BMC asset record for this particular CI, and it has defined it in the golden data set. So if we go back to the job, it is still saying it is still in progress. You can see 5 CIs it has processed. We created 5 CIs, and then it processed those 5 CIs and it generated the reconciliation ID for them. So now if I search here for the data set, Excel data set, you can see here the reconciliation ID is generated for all the CIs. Okay, similarly for the other data set, it has generated the reconciliation ID. Okay, so this is how you define a reconciliation process. Then merging also, you can see here it is saying successful 9 and then failing 0, so you'll be able to see the status here if there is anything which has failed. And then purge activity, there isn't anything in the purge, or it is still running. So we had selected the unidentified, so there isn't anything which is unidentified, so it hasn't done any purging as of now. Okay, so if I go back here in the job, so in the for the job you can see the history here, activities, how many runs it has we have done. So this is identity, this is merge, and this is purge. So all are completed for this. It is still hasn't updated the status here, but it is sometimes it will not reflect here, but the job is already completed. So this is an example of a reconciliation process in BMC CMDB, how the reconciliation process works, how we define it, and then how finally it reconciles the data and puts it into the golden data set. I hope you have understood the reconciliation process. You can try of your own, and then you can define your precedence groups and qualification sets, as I have already shown you. Precedence groups you can define, and then you can see the difference, and then you can practice it more and learn more. Okay, thank you.